What is going on, worst damn crew ever? It is your boy, the worst damn Tony Stark ever, coming in his glory here. Just want to say, what's up? What's up? What's up? We got a great one tonight. It is the next iteration in the Marvel Universe. We are on the third movie, Iron Man. Oh, I can't wait to get this one because Iron Man is actually with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to our boy, the incredible Iron Sturdy. Woo!
Hey, glad to be back. Glad to be back. And this movie fell on a perfect day to review.
How so?
How so?
Mm-hmm.
I think you know how, but I'm going to tell you. From our previous podcast on Popcorn and Pints, just a conversation, how certain things kind of could cross over with power, with finances.
Okay.
I mean,
warfare,
yeah, all that.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a long week for us. You know, we just got through, like you said, another podcast. We're on 3-4 times a week, about to be 5, 6, 7, plus all the TikToks that we do, plus all the Instagram that we do and shit like that. So make sure you are liking, you are subscribing, you're hitting the pages, you are commenting. Make sure you're sharing it with people, whether you like it or not. I mean, we need the exposure. We do this, you know, to have a good time while we're entertaining, to get our points across, to hear your points as well. You know, Sturdy's got a lot to say. He's got his own podcast about horror movies. We go through the best, we go through the worst. What time's that and when's that, sir, Sturdy?
Tuesday and Thursday, live 8 o'clock Eastern time. Again, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, live 8 o'clock Eastern time.
What's up?
And you can also catch the audio from that live that same midnight Eastern time. Whatever we just did on the live, it'll be on the audio by midnight. And wherever it goes out on, as far as, you know, Facebook and all that stuff, it'll be there and you can go back and watch it. Make sure you do that. And like he said, share it. Like, comment, share. And if you hate it, you could say, this is the dumbest shit I've seen in my life, and hit share. I don't care. Share that. That's fine. You're being honest. Or you're hating. Either way, cool. But hit that share button.
My guy's hit over 10,000 streams on his audio, so make sure if you're not watching these, you go and find him on the audio. Speaking of, I set up for Anchor and I set up for Spotify. I just haven't actually converted all of these to the audio platforms yet, but it is coming. So if you gotta listen while you're working, if you're working out, gotta listen instead of watching, I got you covered. It is coming. So with no further ado, let's dive into this Sturdy. It is time to start talking the man, the myth, the iron-clad Iron Man. All right, buddy.
I'm ready.
Let's start this off. We got our good-looking stud over here, Iron Man himself, the worst damn Tony Stark ever. And speaking of, I'm feeling a bit Tony-ish tonight. You feel me? I'm feeling a bit cocky, you know? And that's where this movie starts off. My guy is giving a presentation on his new military weapon that he's designed. And he says, it's not about who has the biggest gun. It's about who has the weapon that works the first time, right? So, let's go. What you got?
His arrogance is through the roof. Like, he's like, I know we discussed this before and brought this up before, but he's kind of like a less immature Bruce Wayne. And Bruce Wayne has he has his moments where he's immature as hell, but he's just like, just as intelligent, don't get me wrong, it's in different ways and all that stuff. They're both just as intelligent, both rich as fuck, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Both have issues with parents. I mean, obviously with Bruce Wayne, his parents were murdered, but Tony relationship, they didn't get to have, maybe a way to word it better was they didn't get to have that relationship with their fathers at the very least.
Word.
Both across. Bruce Wayne was both of his parents, but I'm not sure about Tony Stark and his mother, honestly, so I can't really comment on that. But it's
not yet.
He's just so freaking like not a care in the world. Like, okay, so in the beginning when the reporters come out to talk to him, And Happy's like, she's a looker. He said something like that. And then he goes and talks to her. Like, it just shows like how shallow he is. He ends up smashing her. And I love when Pepper comes into the scene and the chick just kind of, oh, you're still running Tony's errands, this, that, and the third. And she was like, what else do you do for Tony? And she was like, I take out the trash. When she was giving her shit, picking up her dry, I was like, that's a bar right there. Like, you have nothing to say now. You came in there being a bitch to her for no reason. She gave you your clean, like, how many dudes, actually men or women out there, would have a one-night stand with somebody? You get up and leave and go to work, right? Send their clothes to the dry cleaning, and then have a car outside for them that says, I'll take you anywhere you want to go. And it's not like you're calling an Uber. It's like, yo, this person works for me. It's gonna be a nice ass car. Boom. You can probably even decide to go to a nice restaurant if you want to go home. All on Tony Stark.
I mean, that's the whole thing about the I guess super elite or whatnot, right? Like they have these things in place that make their lives so easy and able to focus on the things that are much more important than the things they're working on. To them, I mean, in Tony's case, it's running his company, it's developing weapons and technology and stuff like that, which at first it runs out as he's the good guy, he's protecting his nation. He's backed by the government, he's getting all this financing through these contracts, and he's living a lavish life just as his dad lays the foundation for him. And then it turns into fucking him in the caravan, and he's trying to have a good time with the soldiers and shit, even though, he just got done doing a cool pitch. He feels good. He feels like he's fine. These guys are in a war. They know what's going on. Right. This is 2003, I believe, when this movie came out, I want to say. So if you're taking it in that time frame, like this was the height of just after 9/11 in 2001 and stuff, and the insurgents in Afghanistan and such. So for somebody to have that mentality, I mean, it's also, even though it's kind of needed at that point in time, it also is a little distracting, right, from the mission, from the people who are supposed to protect him, because he's not there on vacation, he's working. But at the same time, these soldiers, they're like, oh my god, he's like a celebrity, right? Well, he is a celebrity, he's the richest man in the world type thing. And they want a picture with him. This is back in the day of MySpace, right? He's like, yeah, I guess you can take a picture, right, or whatever, right? And then he's like, just make sure, this doesn't ends up on your MySpace page, right? He's like, that's a joke. And then he throws another joke quickly after that, no gang signs. And he's like, no, I'm kidding, just throw them up, it's fine. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's that cool aspect to it of him trying to humanize and just kind of keep the atmosphere, going. Because I'm sure he understands the gravity of, him being in a caravan 4 or 5 deep of armored vehicles, and even though he's in the middle of a war zone. But then shit hits the fan. Like IED, they blow up, the caravan's down, the gunfire erupts, he's disoriented, and it becomes really real in that moment so quickly for him.
Yes, and it's just so... my stomach ground. It's just so crazy how these movies lined up, man. Again, just going back to with the Popcorn and Pints, the Kingdom movie, and then this, just with the similarities in it. And we were even having this conversation on that episode as well. And it's just like how, well, the cool thing that Ibrahim brought up was like how it didn't make Muslims look like just angry people, and Middle Easterns just look like angry people and all this other stuff. Like there was a reason. And how Iron Man was opposite with it in the beginning. Remember, after the explosion happened, all that other stuff. And then after that, well, I should say Tony Stark, not Iron Man yet. But after that, after he became, I guess you could say Iron Man in the cave. After he became that, and then what he was, it was just like he had like a complete change with the whole like, these weapons, like nobody should have these.
Right. So there's a couple things that happen right in that scene. Not only is he smack dab in the middle of the conflict, he gets blown up. The caravan and his protection gets pretty much slaughtered. He wakes up disoriented for a second to see right next to him a dud, essentially, that didn't blow up on impact. and it says the word Stark, and then it blows up as he's looking for cover, and it fucks him up. There's shrapnel everywhere. Yep. And then he's knocked out. He's completely out of it. He probably thought he died at that point, only to find out that he awakens in a goddamn cave because the insurgents, or the militant groups of the Middle East at that point in time, captured him. And he was the target. I mean, there's no reason why the ambush occurred at that point, other than they knew Tony Stark was there. They knew he was on his sales pitch day, right, to present his new weapon. So they got him. They did what they wanted to do. They have one of their other captives perform surgery on him to remove the shrapnel. Not all of it is able to be removed, so they have to do something in the midst of the moment to keep him alive, or else their mission is a failure. Essentially they fucked up if they killed him. So they were able to get this guy who has an immense knowledge of, I guess, biological and also technology as far as magnetics and electricity and stuff like that, and he fashions really quickly a magnet that he implants into his chest that pushes and repels the metal from his heart to keep him alive.
Which was fucking magnificent, by the way. I'm like,
the man is hooked up to a goddamn car battery.
He is. Yes, the fuck he is.
Alright, not for nothing. You ever tried leaving your car in the on position with the radio on? You don't get much time with that shit. Like, you maybe might get a day, maybe two if the shit's on constantly. And this guy's hooked up to the battery to keep himself alive.
No other choice.
No choice. And then he's propositioned pretty much at gunpoint with his life hanging in a balance one way or the other to have to make the new missiles that he just pitched to the government in the middle of a war zone for the enemy.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
Without the supplies he would really need to make it the correct way 100%. This is just here's the stuff we have, make it happen.
But the stuff they had was adequate enough because it was his stuff. It was the stuff he's produced. It was all the weaponry, which, as technology advances, it all comes from another place, a prior technology, a prior device that was created, or multiple that gets put together to form. So, they might have had one or two of the most advanced missiles that might have had the right tracking system, and one or two missiles that might have had a good propulsion system, and one or two missiles that might have had the shell casing or the exterior that's needed for enough materials to melt down and produce it. But there's so many different aspects that go into it, with then having to worry about, is the circuitry right? Is all of that right? Because if you don't have all of that, now you got to faction what you have there and make work to do what you needed to do in the same way using older technology, which, granted, I mean, if you're the inventor, if you're the engineer behind all this, I'm sure you know how to make shit work, because your original designs were probably shit at first anyway, that you made work really quickly, and then you were like, since I can get this to work, now I can make this really fucking something I can market, you know what I mean? But he did it in a cave.
Exactly. That's impressive.
With a battery hooked up to his chest. At gunpoint.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, the gentleman there who saved his life, the doctor or the other physicist or whatever you want to call him, becomes his partner there. You can tell he's a good man, and he's just there against his will pretty much. And it's like, okay, well, they have my family. I got to do what they say, or else they're dead. Also, I'm dead. So it is what it is. This is my situation. But he's always making the best out of it. He's still smiling. He's still, cooking his shit on his little fire in his cave, and he's living, and he's like, well, things could be worse, Tony. You could be dead, but I kept you alive. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's super dope. Then after he's propositioned to make the weapon, I mean, is it kind of their bad? I don't care how many cameras you got on them. I don't care. Is it kind of their bad that there wasn't somebody there who understood enough English, except for the head guy, the bald dude? And he didn't present himself at first, right? Because you never present the head of the snake. You always present your lower level, your lackeys. But they kind of fucked up with that, because you have the smartest guy in the world, essentially, as your captive and you tell him to do something, don't you think he's gonna find a way to either undermine that or figure out a way to trick you, which ultimately is what he does.
Yeah. I mean, it may be one of those things where they were just like, you know what? He wouldn't be that crazy to fucking try to do anything because we can just kill him. And they probably didn't think he would do something like that. Because they're like, we got cameras on him.
I mean, he could have made the missile that they wanted and programmed it to fucking go right through their shit and blow the shit up, like their whole camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's my only one gripe about like this whole beginning thing and how he had the opportunity to forge the giant mech suit, which is prototype 1.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was a little bit too much of an undersight, I guess, on the enemy's part.
Yeah.
But whatever. We need the story. We got to get there.
I was gonna say we needed it, and we wanted something that was like, okay, so you finally got a little backstory for Tony Stark, for Iron Man, how it started, why it started.
Yeah.
And you're cool with it. You're cool with it. It's not the greatest story in the world, but it's not bad either.
And to the credit of Marvel and everything and all of that, this is the first movie that did get stuff right, that did look as good as it did, that got the acting down and the casting down, that got the imagery down. I mean, this was the initial movie that literally shot off and let off the whole MCU. I mean, I remember watching these trailers, seeing, hearing the Iron Man, right? And then fucking all of a sudden the streak across the screen, the flying, and then like all these other cutscenes and the big robot. Like, that shit made everybody go wild no matter which movie I was at watching that trailer played. Everybody went fucking nuts. Everybody.
Oh, fuck. You had to.
That's what I mean. Like, it was destiny. It was fucking destiny.
This movie was fucking amazing. This movie was amazing. It was so cool. And again, I know we had to watch them out of order, which we discussed. We said it on the live before. Just watching them, it's funny kind of watching them backwards, because it's almost like if you're watching them backwards from 2 to 1, it's like you see how much he progressed from 2 to 1 and how much he progressed just in 2. But if you're watching 2 first, you're like, okay, so wow, he was a real shithead in the beginning.
Oh yeah, I mean, it carries over to the second one, but he toned it down a little bit. He became a little more humble, right? I mean, you have to after you have this like. There we go. All right, I'm back. So he's in the cave. He's forging this missile for them using plans. He's smart enough to make the plans in sections where it doesn't look like he's actually building anything until you overlay them on top of each other and put them a certain way in the light. Fucking genius, right? Are you there? Oh shit.
What happened?
What? You there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you froze for a second. Okay. So that he's forging the suit, you don't see what it is, but you see all these different shapes he's hammering out and shit. And then finally, like, the guys come in a couple times to pressure him. They're out of time. They just gotta do what they gotta do. He initiates the program last second. Ensign runs out to buy him some more time so the suit can power up. Sucks the power down. Ensign runs out with the AK, just shooting for cover fire and just to scare off the troops that are coming in, the insurgents. And then power goes out, and there's a blast, right? There's a light that just lights up. And he just fucks shit up in this big ass suit. Makes his way through the fucking cave. Bodies start flying. Shit starts exploding. He's getting shot at. Weak points are getting hit by bullets and shit. They're trying RPGs. They're trying grenades. They get little pieces of the mechanisms for like his legs to move and stuff, and the pneumatics and shit. Hinder him kind of motionless a little bit there for a second, and then ultimately he does, his final attacks and fucking gets away with it and gets out, right? And gets fucking saved. Awesome. He gets back to the States. First thing he wants is a burger.
And again, and I mentioned this on Popcorn and Pints, that made me want a cheeseburger, a really good cheeseburger. And like the one he got looked like it was a fast food one, but it didn't look like one that was all that great. He took one bite out of it and said
Burger King, I believe. I think it was a Whopper, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I don't remember what he said. He wanted an American burger, but I was like, I was thinking about that spot. I forgot what it's called. I was talking about with my wife earlier.
In-N-Out or?
Nah, it's in Albany, down by what the fuck is it?
Five Guys?
Not Five Guys. No, it's in Albany.
Smash Burger?
Not Juicy, not Smash. It's like a smaller spot. Oh fuck! What the hell is it called? There's another spot. I'm horrible with this shit. It's not on Quail. I don't remember where it is.
Oh, Crave.
Yes.
Yep.
That's on Quail.
I think that's Quail. Is that where Mary Jane's Books was? I think that is. Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I was like on that.
Most
There was a certain burger.
Fucking know anyway. It don't matter. But if you're ever in Albany, look for Crave Burgers. It's a little bit pricey. You gotta buy your fries separate, but the shit is delicious.
It's worth it. It's fucking worth it. If you want to get a really good, I'm not saying it's the best burgers in the world, but if you want to get an amazing burger, definitely check that place out. Check that place out. I would say Five Guys, but there's a Five Guys everywhere. You know what I mean? That's why I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Check that place out.
All right, so anyway, back to the movie. So he gets his burger, immediately calls a press release.
Yeah.
Dude sits everybody down while he's eating his burger. His arm is lassoed up. He's like, I already know I gotta do something. Something has to change. And he immediately says, I'm changing the course of my company. We're not doing warfare no more. I've seen the destruction it causes. It's not only hurt my own people, but I saw what happened to their people. I've seen how they can use it against us. This is not happening. Immediately, their right-hand guy there, carts him off and tries to act like he's fucking crazy because of his experience that he had, and it's post-traumatic stress, which, I mean, legitimate could be, but at the same time, when somebody has clarifying moments like this, who are you to question? Yeah, I mean, you're looking out for your pocket. You're looking out for your stockholders' pockets. Fuck that, okay?
Not even stockholders' pockets, because you seen how he's doing the shit behind, what he was doing, selling the weapons underground. So that was just more for himself. That was all for himself. That was all self.
Right. So as the story progresses, after that unfolds, they slowly start to kind of put Tony away, because that's how it works in the corporate world. If you're the head and all of a sudden you do something that they don't like, your board of directors can overrule you with the check and balance system and shit like that. So now they start to push him to the side. Obadiah, who's his right hand, his father's old right hand, who's helping him run the company, he's a fucking snake in the grass. He's a fucking dirtbag anyway. I fucking hate that fucking smile in your face bullshit, and then fucking have all these other motives and all this other shit going on. I despise humans like that. And that's the problem with humanity, is that shit exists, and people allow themselves to fall into that. I don't care how much about the money you make. I don't care. If what's right's right and what's wrong's wrong. Simple as that. Stick to the shit. Like flip-flopping bullshit. Anyway, so they push him to the side. He starts realizing shit's got to change. He's making moves to try to get shit done. Pepper becomes more of who was his right hand, his assistant essentially. But she's been there so long and stuff, and he's looking and all that stuff, and or she's looking on, she's learning. She knows his character. She knows kind of how he thinks and how he does things. To some extent, she okays things for him that he wants to do. Even though no one can control Tony, but she's like the one person that he will kind of just be like, fine, you say, then we're not doing this, even over Rhodey, even over Obadiah, it just frustrates me that shit happens, and then you find out within the next few scenes that this shit's going on. Obadiah is behind the goddamn insurgents in the war, how they even got the fucking weapons in the first place. He's how they even knew Tony was going there. He was working with them, and basically they thought that they were controlling him when he was controlling them. I hate corporate espionage, I really do. Really fucking do. So frustrating, especially when you're trusted. When somebody's loyal and that trusting of you, it just fucking grinds my gears. I know it's a movie, people. I know it's a movie, but this is the shit that really happens.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does.
So that leads us into kind of, what's going on nowadays with everything that's going on in the news. I mean, we're dealing with, certain parts of the world are in conflict at the moment. We are seem to never be out of conflict and always involved in some shit. And this seems like this is one of the first times that the U.S. kind of can't do anything, because if they do something, this can really start some shit
For the world.
It's crazy, but then it makes you think about certain situations, like, okay, so how did this get here? What do we do here? And then you look at our codependency of our economies with different other nations' economies, and where we're getting certain supplies and resources from and all this shit. And we're in bed with our own enemies, and it's fucking insane. Neither here nor there. So here goes that corporate espionage shit, except this is real espionage because it's fucking war, it's politics, it's economics, it's the whole nine. In the worst case scenario, it's what's playing out at the current moment. So peace up, big ups, bless up to Ukraine and all that shit. Hope everybody, even fucking Russia. I hope
because
shit fucking just chills the fuck out, because there's people that laying their lives on the line for their country and all this stuff, but at the same time they're following leaderships that
they think it's right. And I mean, a lot of it could be forced into it. I don't know too much about that. So you could be forced into it / you think it's right for your country because that's just what you were brought up and taught the whole time, whether right or wrong.
You're so prideful that it's like, well, this is my country. There's athletes, there's people that of high mentalities and scholars that they're putting their stuff down to go fight in this war and shit, to make sure that they're protecting their country's interests and stuff in a whole nother scope and light, which don't get me wrong, it's noble and it's fucking, it's very it's to be respected, it's to be fucking, not discredited. Yeah. But it sucks, man, because you never know, which side is the right side to be on sometimes, because withholding certain things, not telling all the full story, and it's always one of those things. So you just gotta faithfully be like, well, this is our land, this is our country, we gotta make sure we're good, we gotta do what we gotta do. You want to come, you want the smoke, we give you the smoke. It is what it is. So I get it to that fashion.
And here's how all this what you're talking about now connects with the conversations from this podcast and the other podcast, which is just great. It's sad that it's like, you just said, like, they're fighting over land, like, this is our whatever they're fighting over, this is my land, this is your land, and it's like, we shouldn't even have those labels. It's just be like, okay, I'm from here, I live here, but if I wanted to, I can go. I even if you own your own home, let's say, still, but you should be able to go. The world should be a place where it should be safe. Nobody should be living on the streets. Everybody should feel comfortable, feel safe, or whatever. But you should be able to travel anywhere in the world. Not saying you should walk into somebody's house, but like if you want to go on vacation somewhere, there's a vacation there. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like the world should be. It'd be awesome if all these cultures around, every single culture could just mix and be friendly and care and just no one would. You know what I mean? Shit. This world would be around a lot longer. I bet you people would be living a lot longer.
But again, there's the human condition of greed and ownership, and the demands of who's right, who's wrong, why our views are this way, and why we believe this more, and you shouldn't be doing it, you should be doing it this way because this is the right way. And it's just fucking tiring, man. It's exhausting. We're all byproducts of whatever chemical reaction, whatever explosion, whatever happened here to create us, whoever created us, whatever created us, we're all still praising that or, holding power to that and connected to that in some way. We're all creatures of this world, from every microorganism to every deep sea creature to us working and living and breathing and just having our own, ability to be able to think for ourselves and all that, but yet we can't figure out how to live in harmony and just share shit. We can't figure out how not to claim anything without, power, money becoming the aspect of it, whether we're talking about in religion, we're talking about in politics, we're talking about whatever. Like, everybody has to have control and be able to manipulate and have all of the money and power and all the resources and all that, when at the end of the day none of this shit really matters, because if a meteor hits us, a solar flare occurs, we bomb each other, the shit don't matter. It's not real. All this shit's fucking man-made anyway. The only thing that's real is the trees, the air we breathe, the sun that's shining down on us, the grass under our feet, the dirt beneath us, the fucking lava that comes out of a volcano. Those are the shit, you know what I mean? Like, the souls that we have, whether you believe it passes on and there's another life, or we came from another life, or if we change when we die, or if we become one or get back to the source and, you know, become energy again that's vibrating through. Who fucking cares? Just live by that. Understand that, yo, all of this shit we're fighting over, all of this shit that fucking is so meaningful to you is actually meaningless.
Yeah.
And Tony comes to that realization, you know, and he realizes he has resources at his disposal, not only with his own brain power and mentality and ability to engineer things and design things and create, but also, which, I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest superpowers you can have, right? Being able to make something from nothing, create. We're made in the image of the creator, right? Well, guess what? We have the same ability to create. You got to choose if you're going to create destruction or you're going to create for good. Tony realizes he was creating for the wrong reasons, and he changes. He makes that, he crosses that bridge and goes, nah, let me use all this money I got. Let me use the brain that I have. Let me use the company and the people that are behind me and underneath me to change the direction of some shit and try to make the world an even better place, because I thought I was, my dad thought he was, but apparently we weren't. Somewhere along the way, something happened that's not actually what was going on. So that's such a dope fucking notion to have, and a deep message, especially for right now.
Yeah. And it's just so weird how everything lined up. I swear to you, yo. It was like it was supposed to happen. It was like, yo, look, this was happening this way. For whatever reason, these gentlemen need to get together and have these conversations about these films and bring it into something else.
Vibrations, my dude.
Yeah.
Vibrations. Shit unrolls and shit happens, man. Whether you think it's a divine power or whatever, but we're not the only ones having this thought process right now. We're not the only ones thinking about shit in this, you know, scope or this deep or whatever, you know. And I'm sure there's people thinking even deeper than this.
Oh, of course. You know, I'm just saying, just the way that the conversations came up and how we made them tie into the conversations with the films without like making it into a rant. How we do a lot, we like tied it all together, made it make sense. Because I know next weekend's podcast is gonna be a big rant, funniness, whatever.
Popcorn and Pints, 9 p.m. You don't want to miss that. We are reviewing Happy Time Murders, which Sturdy has not seen, and I got a dope-ass clip that I just sent to him that he's gonna use, and I'm gonna use as well for some TikToks and Instagrams. You're gonna want to catch those as well because they're funny as fuck.
Yes, hell yes.
And then the what's his name? Andrew Jackson? No. Peter Jackson? Who's the
Peter
other
Jackson.
guy? Peter Jackson. So the guy who did Lord of the Rings, back in the late 80s, apparently he did a puppet movie. And the shit is outlandish. So we're watching those two because they have sexual undertones and hilarious shit going on. And it's our episode 69 on the show. It's going to be live, us discussing it.
They were just both wild, hilarious trailers. Like, Ibrahim didn't give it a rating, but everybody else gave him a 10. And, well, 10, and Chris gave it a double 8.
Yeah.
Everybody was damn near in tears. I was beating my chest. I don't know why. I've never laughed like that before. I've laughed hard and had tears in my eyes and my stomach hurt, but I've never beat my chest laughing. And I did. That shit was too fucking funny.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. So don't miss that. 9 p.m. Saturday.
That shit was too fucking funny.
Alright, so where we got to here? He made the revelation. He's changing the path of the industry of the company. The company's fighting him. They push him to the side. Obadiah is a snake in the grass. He's over here fucking deciding what the fuck he wants to do and all that shit. On top of that, then he's trying to look for the situation that occurred, you know, the device that Tony created, because practically that got destroyed and Tony took what he put back with it, so that he can, you know, go back, reverse engineer, and rework his shit and make it better, because that's what he does. He's a designer, he's a creator, he's an engineer. As that's going on, now Obadiah realized what occurred. He had some of the plans from the insurgents, the surviving one, and he offs that guy once he gets the plans, and now he's on a mission to recreate it before Tony does, so that he can use it for his shit, sell it to the world, armies and superpowers. Because once you got something everybody wants, they're all gonna pay for it, and it don't matter. You can charge one country X amount and another country 2-3 times that amount, because, well, they got it, you need it now, or you know, I mean, you want to stand a chance, or you want to be able to beat it, you need the better one. So, you know, there's always that monetary value behind it.
No, you're right about that. You're right about that.
He tries to, when he realizes that Tony's kind of onto him, he isolates Tony. He almost catches Pepper in the act, realizes what's going on, and he starts his course of action to hurry the scientists that work for Tony to create this damn thing. Turns out they made one that was like 10 times as big. They got it working a certain way, but they could not reproduce the energy source. They were having problems with that. Then they realized the energy source was made in his chest, which was a miniaturized version of what was powering their fucking factory and their building. And yet they couldn't figure out how to make it work. But this guy in a fucking pit made it.
Yeah.
And Tony made it with this guy in a goddamn cave in a pit with nothing.
But you gotta remember, Tony is one of those people, which, to bring up Bruce Wayne again, just incredibly intelligent.
He's the exception to everything.
Like, incredibly intelligent. And then his father was incredibly intelligent and incredibly rich. So it's like, that's even more, you know what I mean? You have an even bigger chance to be smart. Like, your father was very, very smart, passes this down to you, passes down, you know, his finances to you. And you have all these, I mean, the thing with Jarvis, that thing was amazing. Like, if you think about it, it's like Google Home and all that, but way better. Way better. It's like Google everywhere, basically, but still better.
And it's able to do all these computations, all these test runs, right? These, what are they called? I can't think of the word now.
To explain it?
Like, when you have it run the test to see if something's going to work or not.
Oh, fuck. I know what you're talking about, too, and I can't think of the word either.
What the fuck is it called?
But yeah, basically a test run.
Yeah, but it's digital. It's not a real life thing. It's nothing. It's just a approximation, estimation that the computer runs to see what the probability is that it would work and succeed. And he's able to do that. And Jarvis is like Tony's brain in computer form, taken to the 10th power, because he has AI behind it as well, and he has these supercomputers of the world kind of linked in that he can manipulate as well, right? So that's fucking dope. And then I love, once we get to 2 next week, you know, how you see the progression in that technology as well, and all the other technologies.
Goodness.
Even though it's still within the same kind of time frame, it's almost like technology, because of after this movie, how fast Tony is moving now, and put him, like, thought he was good before, and like he had all this shit going on. He's in hyper mode after part 1 with his developments and all this shit, because he knows there's shit coming. He knows there's things that, if I was able to do this and all these other superpowers now, or these other super villains are coming out, then he's introduced to Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. There's this whole thing that Tony understands, because he's such a forward thinker. He gets, listen, this isn't the end of it. This isn't the only thing we need to worry about. There's so much more we need to be dealing with that ain't here yet. We got to do it. And you'll see that as part 2 comes, and then as they get into, you know, the next iteration, which will be Thor, and then the next iteration, which is going to end up being, I think, Avengers. I think that's when it finally kind of boom. And then that's when Tony... Well, we'll get into that. That's when Tony really kind of just opens up and really tries to make sure he's doing right by humanity. You know, and it sucks, because it still causes him to have this form of duality himself, where he's always fighting what's the best thing and what's the best thing for everyone, but at the same time, how do I achieve it? Because I know the best thing for everyone isn't always the best course of action that needs to be taken right now, because for whatever reason it is. So he has to make hard decisions. But anyway, Jarvis helps him with all of that. You know, he gets down his next prototype. He's in the sky, right? He's jetting across. People are like, "What the fuck is going on? What's happening?"
Yes.
He goes back to right the wrongs of his family, of his legacy, right? In his new suit. His test flight take him to Afghanistan. Yeah, take him to the spot where he was abducted. Take him to the fancy disaster. He destroys fucking everything. The military gets involved, and they think it's a fucking foreign entity, weapon. They think whatever it is, blah blah blah. And then they realize, man. And then he gets a phone call from Rhodey. And it's like, bro, is that you? No, it's not me. Why does it sound like you're driving with the top down? Like, oh, I gotta go. Like, and then all of a sudden they're ready to fucking blow him out of the sky. Rhodey, it's me.
Yep. Well, first he said he was driving with the top down. Then he said he was jogging somewhere. He's like, I thought you were driving with the top down. He was like, yeah.
Oh, it's just too funny.
But what I was gonna say is like how we were talking about how he grows through this movie, his growth, his personality. You notice how and we could talk about this through part 2, which I wish we did. But through the rest of this universe, I'll say, as he grows as a person, as a better person, his technology grows with him. It's like, oh shit, you know what? It's like something turns on in his brain once he starts acting more like a person, I guess, in a sense. Because I don't want to say he's like not a person, but he's more of like, okay, I'm rich. I can kind of do what I want. I'm gonna make sure my company is the best. I'm gonna be the pretty boy hotshot CEO. I'm gonna mess with the girls, this, that, the third. Then it goes from that to I'm still the hotshot, but I care about people. I see what these weapons are doing. I don't want to be a part of that, so I want to try to fix it. And then it goes like Iron Man 1. It would be funny if we messed up. Or what would he say? It would be stupid, silly to call me a superhero. And then he was like, I am Iron Man. Like he's like, I want this attention. And then, which he gets it. He definitely gets what he wants with it.
So the big underlying thing, I guess, in all of the MCU and all of these characters is that there's a notion of heart.
Yeah.
There's a note like we all know heroes, right? In our real world, heroes are the ones that run towards, not run away, right? Heroes are the ones that are going to the fire to save. Heroes are the ones that are running at the bad guys and getting shot at. Heroes are the ones that are fighting the wars to protect us. You know, whether we know for sure we're going for the right reason or not, at the end of the day, it's if this doesn't happen and we don't do this, everything will change, right? So for the sake of the security, and that's I think what that notion is in this world right now. So when people talk about security, it's the ability to continue the way things are, so that we can change it as we please as we go. So the notion of heart is always the underlining factor with these heroes in the Marvel universe, and Tony is a person who has the heart. You know, he also has other assets monetarily and also mentally, but at the same time he's always been conflicted because of his personal issues with his parents, with, you know, the way his dad dealt with him, with his exposure to things, how he's had all of this stuff that also to an extent made so many things so easy for him that it's hard for him to be like everybody else, because he's not like everybody else. And then he has to realize that the reason I'm not like everybody else is because there's something for me to do here. I have to take care of this. It's just why he takes the mantle of Iron Man, which is why he keeps the technology away from the government and hides it and just goes and does the job. You know, and that comes up in the next one where, you know, they want to take it from him, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. And I just want to say this really quick too. There's similarities, and I know I mentioned it. I mentioned it a few times. I'm gonna mention it a lot more. Between, again, like I said, Tony Stark, especially in this one, is like an immature Bruce Wayne. But then just the similarities, what you're saying with the cockiness of them both, the intelligence of them both, the fucking the leadership of them both when it really counts. Like when it really counts and they have to be. Even though you could say Batman is more so 97% of the time. And it's just like the braveness, the unselfishness, because you could say they're selfish in ways with their finances, in certain ways, kind of, sort of, or just whatever. But them being billionaires, literally going out to save the world, like physically, not throwing money towards something or towards an organization. Like, no, fuck this. I'm going out there. I'm putting my life on the fucking line because I want to see change, and I think that's dope. That's dope. Like, that's. Would you say it's more heroic than somebody who has powers? Or would you say it's equal? And the reason why I asked, would you say it's equal? Say somebody that's as powerful as, let's say, a Thor, Hulk when he's mad, or Captain Marvel, to where it's like you can have all that power and you can easily be corrupt and just destroy the whole world, take care of the whole world, do what you want, or you can be the hero that you are.
I mean, they all have their magnitude of destructiveness, right? Because Tony can destroy the world with his mind, and he can outsmart pretty much anybody. And
he has the finances.
And then he also has the finances that if he doesn't this time around, he can figure out and make something and get you the next time. Mm-hmm. Where if you don't evolve yourself, you're going to be caught in the same cycle. He's going to catch you slipping and he's going to be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. So it's tough to say, man. It's tough to say, but that's the one thing that it's a blessing and a curse about having money. It's like you have the availability to do whatever you want and can do. So there's a heavy burden on you to have to choose the right way, or else you're gonna get lost.
Yeah.
And then he's got, like I said, that mental is his superpower. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not that he has physical strength. It's not that he has fucking invisibility or super speed. He has so much mental power and capacity to process and engage his mind and come up with tactics and do shit on the fly as things are occurring. And then he also has the ability to create things to help him and enhance him. So that's why he's on the Avengers. You know, he's one of the strongest people, and that's what it's tough to say, who's the strongest Avenger, because how do you gauge it? You got a god who wields a hammer, who can shoot lightning and fly. You got a fucking genetically mutated man who, when he gets angry, turns into a beast that can withstand almost anything and destroy everything.
And the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets.
And then on top of it, he learns to control his mind in that form. So now he's like taking a massive entity of strength involving something close to Tony's mind. That's a force to be reckoned with when he's the smart Hulk.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's true. That's true, because Bruce Banner is very freaking intelligent.
You got Captain America, who has the heart and drive and loyalty like no other, who's unafraid to jump in and get his hands dirty and rock out with his team right then and there with the super serum he was given to enhance him. Mm-hmm. You know, whether he was born with it or not, he's as super as they come. And then he proves it later, which we're not going to ruin it with, certain things that happen in some of the Avengers movies.
Yep.
And then you got people like Hawkeye and Black Widow, who are normal human beings that, compared to normal human beings, seem like superhumans because of their abilities and their training and the things they're able to do, because they push themselves past the point of a normal person's mentality to be able to achieve these things and these feats. Jumping off buildings, relying on a rope, sharp shooting accuracy, mental strength and endurance and resilience. Romanoff being able to mask herself in any situation while having deadly training and force that she can execute at any time, with the wit to adapt and do things that are outside of her realm in the moment. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, Vision is literally Tony with an Infinity Stone and robotic power and like everything you can think of. It's like if you mashed all of the Avengers together, it's Vision with the superpowers of like Scarlet Witch and it's tough to really say who's the strongest of them. And it's hard to take anything away from any of them, whether they were given the power or born with the power. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. I love it too, though. I love it. It's just, again, the way they tell these stories, and yes, all the movies are at least like 2 hours a piece, but it's not like a long dragging 2 hours. Like, oh shit, this movie's 2 hours, this movie's 2.5 hours. You're like,
I don't even care when the movie says 2.5 or 3 hours. I don't even care. I don't. I watch it. I watch it again. I don't care.
no, I get. I'm just gonna go off of this one right here, and I'll say, I could have sat down for another. I could have watched another hour, easily. I could have easily watched another hour of this movie just to see where it progresses to. And I could probably say that about every single one we watched so far. I'll say that about. I don't want to speak on future episodes. I won't speak on future episodes, and then I haven't seen the whole universe yet. So everyone we've seen, which was about 2 hours and 7 minutes ish, I could have watched 3 hours of. 3 hours and 7 minutes, whatever you want to call it, easily. And I don't say that about a lot of freaking movies. Like, oh fuck, I wish this was longer, or this could have been longer. At the same time, it's like you could say I wish it was longer. It could have been. I'll say it could have been longer, but I felt like at the same time it probably ended at the right part, like at the right amount of time, the right time, what it did, just so that they didn't kind of overdo it or try to do something like amazing and just drop the ball.
So, with that being said, what do you think about Obadiah's rendition of the suit that the scientist made for him?
I liked it.
Okay.
And I liked it because they used the prototype of what they had from the suit that exploded. So they just used that. They didn't have like Tony's new stuff at all.
That shit was so massive.
It was huge.
I thought it was dope that they were able to make it not only... They made it very mobile for as big as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fucking thing ran. It had rockets. It could fly. Like, and then it's funny because Tony did his testing, right? He's like, "Fuck, I gotta figure something out. You know what? Let's see if he fucking got this." And he shoots straight up, and the thing's following. And he's like, "Oh, so how'd you work out the freezing problem?" And then all of a sudden his shit shuts down on him. And he's a lot heavier than Tony, so he reaches terminal velocity dropping way faster than Tony does. Which means, okay, he's dropping faster, there's more friction, but it's also colder the faster you go, so it's kind of a, oh shit, is it gonna thaw out fast enough like Tony's suit did to fucking be able to fly off again? It kind of did, and it made it. But that thing was so fucking massive. That was like, it was almost like that was the prototype for like the robots from like Pacific Rim, or like if they were gonna do a fucking like mobile suit Gundam. You know what? That was like the prototype for the Hulkbuster. Pretty much.
Tony was like, nope. Tony was like, I know what not to do now. I'm not doing that.
Pretty much.
But I like how you mentioned like how that suit was just so much heavy, like way, because it was so big. Like you're saying how not elusive, but how it can run, jump, fly, and how big the suit was. But then once it comes to it, like that point where if the suit was lighter, maybe you'd have time for the suit to reboot before it hits the ground, before it crashes and all that stuff. But nope, that shit just dropped. And I love how
he made those tests, man.
Yeah, he did. Like he was doing it. And what's funny is you're watching it, you're just like, he's so fucking cocky, man. Like he's so cocky the way he's just flying his suit around, not giving any fucks. And then it comes back. It comes back and you're like, oh shit. So he's doing this for a reason because he's that intelligent. He goes up there, his suit freezes or whatever the first time, it reboots, luckily. Next time, he knows it's gonna happen, so he's like, you know what? I'm prepared for this time. Makes whatever adjustments he has to make, and boom. And I love how they didn't mention it. I love how they didn't show it. They didn't say anything or no inkling towards it from the first time he goes up in there to still the second time he goes up there. Which, of course, if you've seen this film before, you kind of know, or if you know the character very well, the comic books, I'm sure, you know. But if you're just someone who just goes into this movie blind, you're like, oh shit. Like, I love when movies do stuff like that where they put something in there, big or small, and then they come back to it and they fix that issue, or they recognize that issue, or whatever it is, and you're just like, yes, this is why they showed us this earlier. This is why they said this earlier. This is why they did this earlier, because of this scene. It makes this scene so much better now.
I love the nods to War Machine, with the look over the shoulder with Terrence Howard, like maybe next time, but what I mean?
Wasn't like, time for him.
And as much as I love Don Quixote, don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
I kind of wish fucking Terrence Howard would have stayed, man. I feel like that chemistry with him and Robert Downey was a little bit better.
You know what I
as
will
far as the
say
two
though?
characters together.
What I like, it's tough. What I do like, I like them both as War Machine, but what I like about Don Cheadle is like, because again, I'm only going by the cartoons. His character, War Machine, was like more serious than Iron Man was.
Mm-hmm.
And Don Cheadle plays that more serious role. He does have the fun in the movies, don't get me wrong. But I feel like he plays that more serious role, to me, better than Terrence Howard does.
Yeah, Terrence Howard was a little bit softer for sure.
But he's a great
tone,
actor.
His facials, like he's definitely a little bit softer. But like I said, I felt like him and Tony together, was a little bit better, because especially when they're like going out on the club and shit, you know what I mean? They're like, "No, Tony, we gotta be serious about this." And all of a sudden they're drinking on the plane. Yeah, man, let me tell you, like,
that was awesome. That was fucking awesome. It was hilarious. He was like, I'm not drinking. Tony kept offering the drinks. The next thing you know, they're in the back of the plane both with bottles in their hand. Not a cup, both with bottles.
The stewardess's shirts are half open and shit. Like,
yep. I was loving it. I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome.
I like Terrence Howard. I always have.
Oh, yeah, he's a great actor. Don't get me wrong.
I'm trying to think what else then at the end there. So he's got the destruction of the Buster there, the Iron Man Buster.
Oh, real quick.
Yep.
I love the way that he came up with the suit. He was looking at his car. He's like, Hot Rod Red.
Yeah, Jerry Red. That's like dope.
I was like, yes. It's red and gold. Beautiful.
Fucking his interaction with the damn robot arm and stuff, hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dum-dum. I'm gonna melt you into something. I forgot what he tells him.
He kept talking.
Stay away from the car.
And then it ends up landing on the car.
Oh god, I felt so bad for that Shelby, man. No, we don't want to be here. He's flying over the R8. He's flying over the fucking rape and shit. I'm like, oh my god, he's ruining it with jetpacks like fucking $3 million in the car. Like,
yep. That part, it got to me too. Trust me. It wasn't. It wasn't American. No, that was American Muscle, the one that he dropped on, actually.
Yeah, no.
I was like,
no actual AC Cobras were damaged in the filming of this movie. Just want to let all the car guys know. That's Car Girls. That was a replica just to be destroyed. It wasn't an actual AC Cobra. It's a kit car.
Hey, that still breaks my heart. You could give me that kit car.
True that.
But I get it.
And then this was also like this is the movie that made the R8 essentially. This is the movie that made the Audi R8. This was the Iron Man car. Like, once everybody started seeing it in magazines, because this was also a prototype that they showed in here. But once it started coming out into production, it looked almost just like it, like almost detail for detail. They changed certain things like the rims and the grill a little bit, but other than that, or the lights. But I think that car is one of the most beautiful cars in the world, even today. We have newer renditions that are more aggressive. We got things like the Audi or the Lamborghini Aventador. We got the Ferrari 458 Italia and shit like that. We got the Bugattis, but what that was, one of the best 10-cylinder roaring Audi Volkswagens that was half Lamborghini. Like, it's just fucking awesome car. But yeah, that's what made that car. This was the Iron Man car.
Yeah.
Done.
And that car.
So there goes another piece of car history and culture that's altered or influenced by the movie industry.
Yeah. And in a great way. Shit. Do you think there'll ever be another car? Let's say a newer film. Because we got Kit, we got the DeLorean, the Batmobile. Will there ever be a newer car that comes out with a new name? Like, not even a new Batmobile, just a newer car in general? You think that comes out in film that's just like that one that we're talking about in film for the next 50, 60, 70, 80, however long Batman was out? Shit. I don't even know how many years that was, to be honest with you.
Batman's been out for a long time.
And we're still, obviously they're still making movies and cartoons, but we still there's still discussions about the Batmobile.
Yeah, I mean, when the Nolan movies came out, the Tumblr was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like the Batman, like, and like, even with the one with what's his name? Adam West. Even that one. Like, people talk about that one still.
So iconic.
I don't think so.
Like I think.
Yeah. And again, it includes all those cars.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, there definitely will be more because we got, you know, more modern renditions and stuff like that of certain cars. I mean, we probably a little bit before this we had Eleanor, the 67 Shelby GT500 from Gone in 60 Seconds. Then we had this as the Iron Man car.
But I mean, something that's gonna like stick. You know what I mean? Like
Aston Martin, as long as they keep producing fucking James Bond movies, there's gonna be a Bond car. You know what I mean?
But it's tough because it's like, I feel like with the way society is, everything's so quick and fast paced. You wouldn't even have time to really. I guess you could almost like build that character, because that car's almost another character for that vehicle to make it that iconic, to really stick like those older. You could say, I guess you can say they're older films, comics, or whatever you want to call it. Everything.
I mean, there's always a Dodge Charger because we refer to Dom's Charger from Fast and Furious. You know what I mean? It's like,
I don't know.
So shit'll keep coming. It's just, it's gonna change. It's not gonna be as growly and as muscle packed, and because they're gonna be electric vehicles and then hovering vehicles and then like fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, we still even refer to certain vehicles from sci-fi movies and Star Wars movies like the Millennium Falcon. It's a ship, but that's their speedster, their motorcycle speedsters, or the fucking pod racer. You know what I mean? Like, there's things there. We'll still have some shit. We'll definitely still have some shit. As long as it's not the Ford Mach-E. I'm sorry, Mustang is not an SUV. You took a thoroughbred horse from the wild and made it into a fucking
mule.
Not even a.
Well, no, not even a mule.
It's like a
mule.
fucking. It's like a mini cow. It's like.
Sorry.
You turned it into an SUV. You made it fat. Don't get me wrong, they're pretty. I finally saw one on the road. It's pretty.
Mustang.
It's pretty.
But you don't sound too happy about that.
To be honest with you, like,
is it because it takes it more? It makes it more like a concept vehicle instead of like, not a concept, like a family vehicle instead of like that fun muscle car.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are gonna customize and deck them out to the ways, you know what I mean, to make them more, you know, street. They're gonna lower them. I mean, they already come with fucking big ass wheels on them anyway with certain packages. But that's the way kind of things all are, and everybody, you know, the markets are for more room and shit like that and functionality, which I understand, because especially in most places in the U.S., you got half the United States that you got vehicles you can only use for 3 months out of the year. You know what I mean? Like the Vets, the Mustangs, anything that's rear-wheel drive. I mean, it sucks. Even though, you know, Japanese sports cars to me are like the driver's cars besides a Porsche. You know what I mean? Because Porsches are like Porsches, and they're the BMW M lines and shit like that are like the references, the pinnacle, right? But now we got, not only do we have sports cars, now we also have supercars. But not only do we have supercars, now we have super electric cars, and we got fucking hyper cars, and like the ultra select 1% car. Like it's nuts. Like cars that are like $3 million and up, cars that are $1 million, cars that are like several $100,000, cars that are $100,000. It's like, you know what I mean? But that's all gonna die soon anyway. I mean, we got maybe 8 to 10 years left of motors being in a vehicle, like in the U.S. tops. You know, the UK is banning them by, I think, 2028 or something like that. You gotta be electric, not even hybrid. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Formula E came along, and that's where a lot of technology gets tested, and then it gets dripped down into vehicles. And usually, like Mercedes uses all these luxury technologies to test on their S-Class and all that shit, and then that gets trickled down to all these other models and shit once they become standard features and cheap enough to produce. But with the way the world is at the current time, with supply issues, chip issues, and current fucking war issues that may be going on, who knows what happens. I mean, Tesla was working on a $25,000 Tesla, and they abandoned ship on that because the supply chain issue and all this shit. It's like, why are we gonna waste our time and resources on doing this and waiting on this? We got spaceships to build.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like we can put our money towards that. We can put our money towards the Teslas that are selling. We can put our money towards other technologies that are going to help us once we figure out if we can colonize on Mars and all this other shit. Because that's what he wants to do. But yeah, I mean, we'll still have iconic vehicles one way or another.
I hope so.
Spaceships. We talk about Apollo 13 again. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have it.
Yeah.
We'll have it. Who knows? I love these movies.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome.
Alright, brother. So, we're pretty much at the end of this. He gets to, again, he destroys Obadiah's plans, gets arrested and all this stuff. Fucking, he gets done. Press conference time. Everybody's talking to him. You brought it up a little earlier. And they're like, Tony, what happened? Blah, 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 blah. Is this technology? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right? He's like, no, I am not Iron Man. And he's like, fuck it. I am Iron Man. And that's where the movie ends. You know what I mean? And it's like, badass. Like, you fucking guy. He was just like, fine, you know what? I'm going to give them what they want. Like,
I felt like in that moment, he could have, like, that's where, again, being maybe like an immature Bruce Wayne in a sense, because Bruce Wayne would have been like, no, I'm not, of course I'm not Batman. That makes no sense. Versus Tony Stark's like, you know what? No, I'm not Iron Man. You know what? Fuck it. Yes, the fuck I am Iron Man, motherfucker. Yes. Me. I'm Iron Man.
Well, the difference there in that situation is that Bruce Wayne, except for in the Nolan movies, never had an issue where somebody from his company or the public realized that it was his technology or Wayne Enterprise production, or there could be an affiliation, or hey, Bruce is always gone or whatever whenever this guy comes around, blah 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 blah. He never had that issue come up where this was in the face of people. Like, the military saw it, it was world news, shit was happening. Half of downtown got destroyed in his building and shit. Like, there was no way to hide this and avoid this. And then the questions get asked, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's our technology. Yes, we were testing something. Yes. I know it wasn't me. I wasn't in the suit. And then it got to the point that he's, like I said, he's so calculating, he's so thinking that he's like, you know what? This is something. This is going to be something. It's out there. People are going to want this. They're going to come for it. I can't let them have it. It's mine. Yes, I am Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're right.
Fuck with me if you want to, because I'm America's fucking nuclear deterrent now.
Yeah.
He's like, this is going to be the best scenario for every course here. I can tell the government go stuff themselves. Anybody wants to try us, they got me. I'll go deal with it, and it's mine. I'm keeping it. It's staying. It is what it is. You can sleep better at night knowing that I am Iron Man.
Yeah. But with that too, you put a huge target on your back and your close one's back by people knowing who you are because of your enemies or whoever.
That's where his brashness, his cockiness, and his narcissism comes in, and that's where that shined even more at the end of this. Is that it's like, yo, you literally just outed yourself and said, fuck it, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to make matters worse, which we'll see in part 3, I guess those are the moments of, I wouldn't say his misjudgment, but I guess kind of also moments of his weakness presenting himself, because he can't help himself in certain situations, whether it's when he feels like he's on top or he's the man, or like he has to just showboat a little bit, even though like we show him some growth in this movie, we show some change, but he's like, all right, I'm still me. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the next movie, there's exactly.
Basically, he's just like, I'm me. I'm me.
Yep. And then the next movie, there's certain instances, and then in Iron Man 3, there's a big issue and a big instance where that plays a role. And you know, have you seen Iron Man 3?
I have, not in a while, but I have, yes.
Okay. So once we get there, we'll talk about that again. But you know, and what's his face in the next movie? Nick Fury. We'll touch on that. But literally, basically, Tony reads something about himself, a report, and it talks about that, and it literally just blatantly calls him a textbook narcissist, and he can't do anything but agree. Like, he wants to disagree. He's like, okay, and then just goes back to reading his, the report on him. But yeah, but that's what happens. Is those traits, they're so ingrained in you. You're so used to operating in one way that they're old habits die hard. It's hard to kick certain things. But at the same time, Tony does a decent job at curbing them to a certain extent with certain things. They still shine and come through in other dimensions. So Sturdy, it's that time, brother.
What time is that?
Iron Man 1 is in the books. We got done with the Buster. This man has outed himself as the hero Iron Man and as the U.S.'s weapon against mass destruction and nuclear war. What do you give Iron Man on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going with another 8.
Okay.
I'm going with another 8. Like, it's just, for me, it's just solid across the board, man. I can't lie. It's amazing. It's really, really good. It's really done well. And again, you don't see it as much. You see his growth in this with himself and again with his technology, with him changing as a person. I mean, you can go from the first Iron Man suit to the second Iron Man suit in this one. So even, you know what I mean? The progression to even the third one, actually. When he finally had it painted and everything, after he worked out the kinks that he had worked out for that part, and he always got better as a person, and then now I'm just like, it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Yes, sir.
And I said I was hoping that these movies don't go past a 7. I kind of had in my head that these were going to all be majority 8, 9, 1, 10 or 2.
But
Not really a but. It's more of a... I changed my Captain Marvel rating after we discussed it because I realized certain things, and as I talked about it out loud, it helped me kind of really dig some of the ideas and notions into my head about it.
mm-hmm.
This one, believe it or not, and I said it before that some of these were not my favorite out of them, this one was actually in my lower ranking. I'm actually giving this one a 7.
Wow. I mean, that's not a bad rating.
No,
but go ahead.
not at all. Not at all. I mean, come on. It's an Iron Man movie. It's Marvel. And to their respect, it's the first one that got it right.
Yeah.
The first one that paved the way that they said, okay, now we can really move forward. Now we can really dive in. And they did what they were supposed to do. You get something under your belt. You have a few failures. You get better with every single one. And when they realize just how good they got with this one, the whole plots and all that shit, and some of the X-Men movies and all that stuff, it's like, okay. Now this one, the only reason I'm giving it a 7 is because I feel like it's a little bit rushed at points.
Okay.
Like you said, it could have been longer. I did enjoy the visual effects. They weren't as strong as the later ones, obviously, because the technology changes and all of that. But it's so crazy we're all going to be doing this good as this was, it could have been a little bit better as far as the visuals go. It could have been a little bit longer and a little bit less speed backtrack to some of the spots.
Yeah.
It could have dragged a few things out a little bit more. After him becoming Iron Man to unfight Obadiah situation, that it could have been a little bit more not really a setup, but kind of a oh fuck moment. I figured out what's going on. I gotta stop this instead of it being like boom,
Yeah.
Nuclear mode, Iron Man's are fighting each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying with that.
Other than that, man, it's a fucking solid movie, and the only reason it's getting a 7 is because it's not standing alone. Because when this movie first came out, I probably would have given this like a 9 home.
Yeah.
Now that we have so much time after and so many other movies to compare to and watch and stuff, that's the only reason I'm giving it a 7. But I love
Understandable.
this movie. I will watch it over and over again.
Understandable, but I mean,
Despite its flaws.
really quick, I'll say like you were saying, how this movie did what it did wasn't perfect, but it was the one that started the Marvel universe, like literally started the Marvel universe. So with that, I mean, you could almost say it's a 10 for that reason alone. I'm not going to give it a 10 for that reason, but for that reason, just in the sense of all the marvelous things that see how I did there, see what I did there, but all the things that came out after it, and I'm just like, this movie really, because if this movie would have flopped, we wouldn't have had the Marvel universe.
We
If this
wouldn't
movie,
have had nothing. Because after
They made-
the Hulk's fucking up 2-3 times, you know what I mean? So the X-Men movies were good. They were great. They were good for what they were for their time period. But honestly, after watching them and the way the cinematic universe went now and all this stuff, like, it's tough for me to not be like they're not 5-6 movies compared to all of this stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They got completely overshadowed because of this stuff. Had all this stuff not been made and them not get this so good and so right, those would probably would have been the 7-8s. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. I wish they would have done now a little bit better with some of the X-Men movies, especially the first 3. With, you know, Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman and all that. Don't get me wrong, Hugh Jackman was great, Patrick Stewart was great, you know, all the characters were great. But once they started going into, again, I think time frame plays a role. The movie directors and budgets and special effects played a role, because that shit was dope, don't get me wrong, but I feel like if they redid, and they have redone actually, because they gave us Logan, right? They had given us X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then they got better with those. Then they gave us Old Man Logan. That was a phenomenal fucking movie, and that was done by, you know, people of this generation of the Marvel movie makers. I say generation, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The people that have been involved with these newer ones. So that's why that one got so much better. But I mean, for what they were, special effects were decent. Wolverine was top notch, but like I said, it was lacking in other areas. And then when they did the Wolverine origin movies and they fucked up Deadpool, they fucked up Sabretooth, they just made it almost felt like they tried to make a comic book movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a live.
Where these are more of a movie of the comic books, if that makes sense.
And not in a good way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, those were almost too cartoony-ish with some of the stuff. Like, it was too fake with some of the things, and some of the, like, the way people hopped across, and, like, the way they portray certain powers, like Nightcrawler, his ability to jump and teleport was decent, but it was still too animated-ish, too cartoony, but that's only because of the time, I think. I think there was a jump in, you know, from 2000. When did those come out?
I don't remember.
Now I gotta look back. Fuck. Now that's got me thinking.
But budget does play a role, of course.
Yeah. You know, in
Budget
X-Men
is
Origins, fucking Wolverine and fucking the Sabretooth, I guess, because he doesn't even really look like Sabretooth or really, like... It wasn't, I'm sorry, that wasn't a Sabretooth, that wasn't a Deadpool, that wasn't Mutant X 23 or whatever they show, and all those other mutants and that shit. I feel so bad for Ryan Reynolds, and I'm glad he got redeemed after that bullshit, and then after Green Lantern, and then now he got Deadpool, a real superhero movie, or anti-superhero movie in a way, but something that does justice based on his character of acting, his comedy, and also the story and the imagery that they bring to life in it.
Yeah.
So glad they
Well, hell
rebooted
yeah.
all that shit.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, fuck. Now you got me thinking about those X-Men movies, and I'm like, damn, I should rewatch them and see if I'm sticking true now to what I just said, that they would do 5-6 movies instead of 7, 8 movies, 9 movies.
Yeah, you might still have love for them though, because you gotta. I guess, like, for me to go back and watch those movies, same with the Spider-Man movies, the ones like, the first 3. I kind of watch them for the times that they came out in, so it doesn't really. So I have that same. I might not like them as much or love them as much, but I still almost have that same passion for them. I know they're not the best of it. They're not the best of the times of the movies out now. You know what I mean? Like, those are the best of the times of the hero movies we had out at that time. They were the best by far. And now it's like they're not there, but they're also not of these times anymore. Shit, they're almost 20 years old, if not.
Yeah, 99, 2000 or some shit like that. 2001 maybe.
I'm not even sure. Sure.
And I watched all 3 of them recently because I was getting ready to watch, all the Spider-Man No Way Home and the next Carnage movie. So I went through all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, no, man. As good as they are, don't get me wrong, they're still good movies. They still hold up, but they're just not the caliber of what we get today.
You'll have to go through them again one day.
We will.
It's like the only.
But anyway, Iron Man got from Sturdy an 8.
Yes, sir.
And Iron Man got from the worst damn gamer a 7. And that's the lowest rating so far in our MCU universe. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back next Saturday at midnight with Iron Man 2. Which ready to go for you. Gonna be airing it on time this time. Sorry about the delay last week. Had some technical difficulties. It was a pre-record, and I was trying to get it rendered out and do a couple podcasts, and I got.
He did it last minute.
I didn't do it last minute. I did the edit beforehand, just didn't finish it and then render it out, and then I did a podcast that I was gonna have enough time, and then it didn't want to render because I fucked up on one of the effects.
That means last minute.
Long story short, I still got it out to you guys, only like 10 minutes late, but still.
That's last minute. It's last minute.
It's not last minute. Anyway, moving forward, I got you covered. Even if it's late, you're gonna deal with it. That's how I got you covered.
Oh man.
It's probably not gonna be in it. I'm probably gonna scratch that on that one. So we got an 8 and a 7. We got 8, 9. We got the one-shots from Agent Carter. You can go check out those bonus episodes, and the one-shot of Something Funny Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer with Agent Coulson. So go check those out because those are cool little clips as well. They're really short compared to these. These are an hour and a half long, give or take. Those were like 20 minutes, I think is the longest one, 18 minutes or some shit like that. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. Remember, Sir Sturdy right here. He's got his podcast Tuesday and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Dive into horror movies. The Wheel picks it for us. Wheel of Destiny. Is it the Wheel of Destiny or Wheel of Fate?
Wheel of Fate. Horror Wheel of Fate.
There you go.
Wheel of Destiny's Popcorn and Pints, but we didn't spin it this week.
It's a fate of horror for sure. Some of them are. You'll see. Come watch. It gets funny.
Yes, it does. It gets ridiculous.
We dive in. We rip these things apart if they suck, and we praise them if they don't.
Yeah. Very honest.
We got Saturday Night Popcorn and Pints. We pick 2 movies. We try to figure out how they relate or how they're related to each other or what aspect of them relates. We just got done doing Kingdom of Heaven tonight, and This Is England. I couldn't watch This Is England. I couldn't. I just had no interest, and I didn't even want to try to get through it. So that one was kind of a DNF for me. But Sturdy gave.
I gave it a 2.
2, and the Kingdom of Heaven a
9.
9, which I also gave it a 9. That's a fantastic movie with Orlando Bloom. Liam Nielsen. What was the other guy? Jeremy Irons, and I think Ed Norton was in it. I think he was the guy in the mask.
But I'll say this. So for that episode, spoiler alert, it was 9s across the board and 110 and some tears.
Yeah, it got a little bit emotional because it's some
Which
deep
I think
shit.
is the first one. It's the first one they brought I think, maybe, at least on Popcorn and Pints. Maybe somebody cried on Horror Source 30 before, I don't remember.
I probably cried a couple times because so bad. Anyway.
I was going to say, did you tear up on Popcorn and Pints one episode? You might have, but maybe not. I don't know.
He just, the light-skinned people just tear up to him. Anyway.
You guys do. One did on camera. I know, I'm sure you have off camera.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
See?
I'm getting better. But, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the Worst Damn Gamer ever reminding you this is the Midnight Matinee with me, the Worst Damn Gamer. My boy Sir Sturdy's joining me for all of the Marvel Universe. I got 3 other buddies of mine who are going to be jumping in as well as some of these movies coming up. I got these booked out till the end of July for just the Marvel Universe. I'm going to try to slip in a few movies here and there. Slip in like a DJ, you feel me? And get a couple mix-ups for you so that there's some variety at the same time as this is going. Those will probably be some special bonus episodes that come out either midweek, late week, or whatever, just to kind of keep shit fresh for you. And I'll get talking to you soon. I'll see you next Saturday night, 12 a.m. Remember, in order to be the best, sometimes you gotta be the worst. Peace.
Ollie V's shit. I was trying to say adios and hasta la vista at the same time.